Hi, this is Ira Gorlick, and this next series of lectures are on revenues, costs, and profits. And this is part one on profits. So the learning objective, what is the optimum role of the community in managing the internet? In terms of net neutrality, the ISPs like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast are saying that net neutrality would hurt consumers. Well, what does that really mean? What it means and what the ISPs are really saying, that if they cannot maximize their profits, they cannot continue to provide the services that provide consumers with competitive broadband choices and internet access when, where, and how they want it. And that actually comes from the press release that Verizon just released on net neutrality. Consumers and content providers are saying that if the ISPs maximize their profits, they will exploit their position to extract all the profit, leaving content providers and consumers with lower quality services. And in fact, when you look at those two bullets, this is in essence what we're talking about throughout this whole class on economics, and the difference between people who support net neutrality and those who don't, conservatives and liberals, and that is that there's a significant number of people who believe that there are bad actors and the ISPs could be a bad actor, and that in their effort to maximize their profits, they are going to hurt the consumer. So what is profit? Profit is a foundational concept in economics, and it has several meanings and a lot of nuance. For the purposes here, I'll define profit simply as the specific outcome of an activity where benefits, in this case revenues, exceed the costs. Now, I run marathons, so running a marathon could be profitable, where the benefits of running it in terms of health, personal achievement, and/or companionship exceed the cost of training for it in terms of effort and time spent. And companionship meaning, training with somebody. Marriage could be profitable. A friendship or partnership could be profitable. In this sense, profit could have a very broad meaning that just says basically the benefits, the revenues, or whatever I get out of an activity is greater than the costs. And expressed as an equation, it becomes profits equals benefits / revenues minus costs. In economic terms, profit is described this way. Total profits equals total revenue minus total costs. The biggest challenge here is defining what are the benefits or revenues and what are the costs. There exists the thing we call normal profit. And in perfectly competitive markets, the profit available to a single firm is called normal profit. Normal profit is defined as the minimum reward that is sufficient to achieve equilibrium, or said another way, to keep the business in business. In other words, the reward is just covering the opportunity cost. That is just better than the next best alternative. And in fact, opportunity cost is something we haven't talked about, but it might be something that we want to. I use opportunity cost a lot in the sense that if I have $100, what I do with that $100, I could put it in the bank, or I could invest it, or I can give it to a friend. What I don't do with it is the opportunity cost. This, like many things I've talked about, is context sensitive. For example, I spend a lot of time and my own money putting these classes together. That is my cost. I find the benefits for doing this exceeds my cost. However, someone else, you may, for example, may not come to the same conclusion. Again, context sensitive. I am a relativist. There also exists a thing in economics called a supernormal profit, and that's if a firm makes more than normal profit, it is called supernormal profit. The level of supernormal profits available to a firm is largely determined by the level of competition in a market. The more competition, the less chance there is to earn supernormal profits. Supernormal profit can be derived in three general cases. First, by firms in perfectly competitive markets in the short run, before new entrants have eroded their profits down to a normal level. Second, by firms in less than competitive markets, like firms operating under a monopolistic competition or competitive oligopoly, by innovating or reducing cost, or by earned head start profits. These will eventually be eroded away, providing further incentive to innovate and become more cost effective. And thirdly, by firms in highly uncompetitive markets like collusive oligopies and monopolies, who can erect barriers to entry, protect themselves from competition in the long run, and earn persistent above normal profits. Telecommunications normally falls into number 2 above because of the huge economies of scale, huge barriers to entry, and huge network effects inherent in the telecommunications industry. Perfect competition is when all sell an identical product, no one controls the market price, all have a relatively market share, and buyers have complete information about the product being sold and the prices charged by each firm. And the market is characterized by freedom of entry and exit. Perfect competition is sometimes referred to as pure competition. And my thing that comes to mind as the example is milk. You go to the marketplace for milk, the supermarket for milk. Milk is all pretty identical. No one controls the market price. All have a relatively small market share, so on and so forth. Perfect competition is the opposite of a monopoly, in which only a single entity supplies a particular good or service, and that entity can charge whatever price it wants because consumers have no alternatives, and it is difficult for would-be competitors to enter the marketplace. Under perfect competition, there are many buyers and sellers, and prices reflect supply and demand. Entities earn normal profit, just enough profit to stay in business and no more, because if they were to earn excess profits, only companies would enter the market and other companies would enter the market and drive profits back down to a bare minimum. However, in reality, there's no such thing as perfect competition because everything is context sensitive. Again, it goes back to my relativistic view of the world. Even though cellular may appear to be perfectly competitive, in reality, all products are a bit different. AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, T-Mobile all have different coverage areas and signal characteristics, for example. The results of not perfect competition, less competition, is that we will see higher prices and the possibility of higher supernormal profits. There's also a thing called distributed and retained profits. When profits are generated, they can be retained by the firm or distributed to its owners. If retained by the owners, the profits are put back into the firm and used in any way the firm wants for expansion, research, marketing, etc. All right, in the next lecture, I'm going to talk about costs. Thank you.